As the season's dwindling down, well, our episodes of Attack Wrap are dwindling down on the regular season as well. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the show, but hello everybody and welcome inside of the Rogers studio for another episode of Attack Wrap. Matt Sanderson here, and I'm going to be talking with Cade Robinson and Trenton Bourque in just a little while here inside the studio. The Owensound Attack came away with 1 point on the weekend, looking to try to regroup heading into this week. We'll talk to Cade and Trent about this past weekend as well. Jumping right into everything. 3 points over the 3 games, but specifically just the weekend portion, just 1 point over that span. But we're going to start with the OHL On the Run Player of the Week with Robert Thomas from the Hamilton Bulldogs. Robert Thomas, fantastic week, but he's a huge part of this Hamilton Bulldogs squad. You see it there, 68 points on the season, 7 assists in 3 games, and he was a +2 over that duration. And he's at his career high with 68 points. Along with that, we have Huron Tractor Player of the Week, Jonah Gadjevich. First time we've seen Jonah in the Huron Tractor Player of the Week for a while. 40 points on the year, 3 goals in 3 games. And we're going to show you a little bit of the highlights of what Jonah Gadjevich did this past weekend. And he first started things off in Erie. He also had jumped on the scoreboard in that first game, or in that game with the Guelph Storm at the Bayshore. Really nice nifty pass across ice to Jonah Gadjevich, and Jonah just in the right spot at the right time. And this one comes out, he powers through right to the net like he knows how to do, and boy oh boy did that top line ever miss him when he was out for a while there. But now since him coming back, he is on a tear, trying to do his absolute best and grab more W's in the win column for his team. Going over to the OHL scoring, Aaron Luchuk leading the way there for the score. Actually, he's tied with Jordan Kyrou with 105 points. Morgan Frost, 102 points on the year. And then the closest one to them, Nick Suzuki. He's a little bit of a ways back, but he's got 89 points on the year. Sam Milicic from the Niagara Ice Dogs in there as well with 86 points. And then from there, slowly starts to tail off with 81, 80, 78 over the board between Boris Kachuk, Jason Robertson, and Evan Bouchard. Now we'll flip over to rookie scoring, and Andrei Svechnikov leading the way there for the Barrie Colts. 59 points on the year, 34 goals, 25 assists in his rookie campaign. Cam Hillis, 54 points, and our producer Mark Perry just made a very good note. You see the games played number there for Svechnikov, only 38 games played. He was out due to the fact of an injury and then being out for World Juniors. So just imagine how many points he could have got if he was in the lineup for maybe the full or almost the full part of this season. Defensive scoring, we'll switch over to there as Evan Bouchard is leading the way for the London Knights. 22 goals, 56 assists on the season, 78 points. And Nicholas Haig behind him, 9 back with 69 points. Ryan Merkley, Cam Dineen, Marcus Crawford, Mac Hollowell, Sean Dursey still in that mix. Matt Broussard, Benjamin Gleason, and Garrett McFadden rounding out the top 10 there. Now we'll flip over to goalies, as we have Jeremy Helvig has been playing fantastic this year for his squad. But right now it's Matthew Villalta leading the way for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. 39, 5, and 2 on the year with a .249 goals against average and a .910 save percentage there. Jeremy Helvig behind him with that .920 save percentage. Tyler Johnson, Michael DiPietro in there too with Mario Kalina and Caden Fulcher from the Hamilton Bulldogs. Joseph Raymakers, Christian Prop, who's actually had a very good season. going over to the North Bay Battalion. Look at that, 285 goals against average and 908 save percentage. Keep in mind, he was part of the Owen Sound attack for a very brief moment as the Owen Sound attack traded and then flipped him to the North Bay Battalion. So Justin Fazio, Sarnia, from the Sarnia Sting in there with a 916 save percentage, and Colton Price rounding out the top 10 there. For the Owen Sound attack scoring, as we mentioned earlier, Nick Suzuki leading the way there with 89 points. A little bit further back is Kevin Hancock, 61 points. He has been playing some great hockey as of late. Aiden Dudas, Maxim Sushko, Sean Dursey, Ethan Zapula, Brett McKenzie, Jonah Gadrich, Alan Lazarchuk, and Marcus Phillips rounding at the top 10 there. Quickly want to touch on the academic players of the month. If we can take a look at those here. For the players of the month, still looking for them, but Aaron Luchuk, we'll get to that in a moment with the OHL players of the month, along with Aaron Luchuk and Evan Bouchard is in that mix too, but Eastern Division, William Ennis from the Oshawa Generals, and the Central Division, Philip Tomasino from the Niagara Ice Dogs. Also, Mike Petzian from the Kitchener Rangers, probably pronounced that incorrect, and I apologize for that matter, and Colton Kammerer from the Sarnia Sting in the Western Division there. Quickly just mentioning, Rookie of the Month is Andrei Svechnikov. Jeremy Helvig gets the goaltender of, OHL goaltender of the month. Evan Bouchard with the defenseman of the month, and Aaron Luchuk with the OHL player of the month, and those round out your players of the month for February of 2018. We still have a lot more coming your way. We have a pair of tickets to give away to this coming Saturday's game against the Saginaw Spirit. Along with that, we also have a pair of NHL Benefits VIP tickets that we want to give away to this Friday for the NHL alumni game. And you get to go actually into the dressing room in the first intermission and meet the players. So if you're a fan of guys like Rick Vive, Mark LaForest, well, along with many others, you'll be able to meet them on Friday night. Should be a very fun night. Starting off a good weekend at the Bayshore with some hockey, with the Owen Sound Attack playing Saginaw, and then the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. We want to just thank you very much, everybody, but stay with us because we have more around the other side of the break. Welcome back, everybody, inside of the Rogers studio. Cade Robinson, Trenton Bourque in studio with us. Guys, thanks for being here.
Yeah, Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Trenton, this is not your first rodeo here with Attack Rap. You've been here a couple times before. Cade, this is your first time. We'll jump into a little bit of what makes Cade Robinson in just a little while, but want to first start with the games this week, guys. As I mentioned on the top of the break, you came away with 1 point on the weekend, but overall 3 points over the week. I know it wasn't the week you're necessarily maybe planning or hoping for, but Trent, let's start with you in rounding out this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we started in Guelph, or played against Guelph at home. It was just, overall just a tough game. Like I guess we just didn't stick to what we wanted to do. It's just one of those games that it's in the past. You got to look back, kind of review the film, but can't think too much on it and kind of move on to the next one.
Now, Cade, you guys have done very well over the last couple weeks and then kind of hit a bump in the road coming into this week. What do you think was maybe different from the last couple weeks opposed to this week that just passed?
Over the week that just passed, we kind of strayed away from the game that was giving us so much success, and that is, finishing our checks, winning our battles, and really finishing off the game that you know, we should finish off the right way. And you know, over the past weekend or so, we just, you know, haven't been doing that as well as we should. And you know, in the games to come in the future, we really need to focus on, you know, third periods and less penalties and, you know, things like that.
It's probably definitely nice for you the other night as you had the opportunity to play in Erie. This is your first time back to Erie since being traded from them to Owen Sound. Yeah. What was maybe kind of going through your mind at that standpoint, and probably nice to come away with the W at the end of it? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it was good to get the win, but it was also good to see some old friends and my billet family back from in Erie. They came up to me after the game and gave me a big hug and, you know, a couple of gifts and stuff like that. So it was really good to see them, but, you know, definitely good to get the win against your old team and you know, hopefully, you know, it's just good to get the win and walk away with the win, you know, stuff like that.
Absolutely. So Trent, you have a lot of, let's just say the upcoming games aren't anything that you can really sell short. You've got basically the majority of the playoff teams outside of Flint, but you can never count them out either, with you guys having fits against them over the last couple of years too. So you look at the schedule, and what's the first thing that comes to your mind as you're playing Barrie in just a couple nights, and then you play Saginaw, Sault Ste. Marie, Flint, Windsor, and then rounding out the season at the Bayshore with Sarnia?
I mean, you can't really look past Barrie, right? Like, we got to really just focus on tomorrow's Wednesday. We don't play till Thursday, so tomorrow we're focusing on practice. Kind of doing the right things, planning out what our strategy is going to be against Barrie, but can't really look too much past that game because we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves.
All right, so we do have some highlights to show you. We want to start with the game against the Erie Otters last week.
So here's the replay. Yep. That'll do. A couple big games for the Erie Otters, and we know playoffs are dwindling now. Wrist shot just high. That one whistled by on the stick of Lyle. He'll let another one go. That one in. Brady Lyle around the horn. Entering in right wing side. Hancock unit back on. Now it's Gadrick. Wrist shot. Scores! Just enough time for Jonah Gadrick. Laid out ahead for the empty net. Zappola. Bingo. That'll do it. 3-0 with 95 seconds left. Ethan Zappola. Rice. Flying left wing is Mitchell Russell. He gets a shot away. That squeaked through. It did. Mitchell Russell for the Owen Sound attack. As a roll off the final 12 seconds. Tied up by Cameron in the far corner. Erie plays it to the blue line. Youngsters out right now. Some final minutes. Turning around. Here's Patrick. Wrist shot off his stick high as time winds down on the misfire. And Olivier Lafreniere, he's got his first OHL shutout. He stops 21 Erie Otter shots as the attack roll 4-0 here on the Erie Insurance Arena ice.
So as we mentioned, you started off the week on a very good note with a 4-0 shutout there. Good overround. It was kind of just a game that really you guys didn't get on the board until the second period, but it was just plain and simple game that you guys played. Yeah, you controlled basically from start to finish and came away with the win, Trent. What was maybe said to you guys in the dressing room in the first intermission there for you guys to gear up for the second and come out and play the way you did?
Yeah, no, all our coaches were really emphasizing kind of just simple, disciplined hockey, just kind of sticking to what we knew and what we had, like what our game plan has been throughout the entire season, and just trying to stick to that, not straying too far from it. Like we've run into a lot of penalty issues and discipline issues, but it's kind of just getting away from that and moving more into more of a simple and disciplined game. So
now, I kind of want to jump into the mind of a player here in the sense of, you know that you guys are on the verge of a shutout in a game like that, and your mind, you're trying to focus on the game, but you're trying to do what you can, especially with yourself being a defenseman on the back end, to keep those pucks out of the net. Does it cross your mind at any point in time of maybe we've got to step it up just a little bit more here and try to grab this one for your goaltender?
I don't think you can ever have that attitude. Like, you have to step it up. Like, I think you should always be in that kind of game time zone. Like, you should always be at one intensity. Like, you shouldn't have a low gear or a high gear. You should have one intensity for the entire game, and it shouldn't really change. But definitely when it's coming down to those kind of dying seconds, like you're sacrificing a little for your goalie and for your teammates. Like, you're gonna step in front of some shots, you'll block something, you'll take an icing if you have to. You'll just kind of do the little things that'll help make it better.
Cade, was there maybe anything that you mentioned to the boys before the game, as this has kind of been an Erie Insurance Arena who, well, you were on the other end of it last year, on the victorious end of it with the Otters, but an arena where Owen Sound has really had to battle in over the last couple of years, and you helped bring your team a win.
Yeah, I mean, just focusing on our game and the right game to play, and staying disciplined in those last minutes of the game to really ensure Ole is that first shutout for him. But just playing hard and playing smart and simple, as Trent said, in the last minutes of the game is really huge for us, and it allowed us to come out with a 4-0 victory. So. And
you guys might be a little bit more aware of it than us, but maybe if you can correct it for us, Trent, the fact that, yes, as you mentioned, Cade, this was Olivier Lafreniere's first OHL career shutout, but he played in the game for 59 minutes and 30 seconds, at that point in time, 31 seconds, in that game, and then goes out with an injury. So he technically doesn't get the shutout on his end, but it isn't technically recorded for Mac either. Can you kind of maybe elaborate for the fans on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of sticky. Like, it's kind of one of those gray areas. I'm not too clear on what really the ruling on that was, but I mean, the game was his. Like, the game finished a shutout. He left, unfortunately, with a bit of an injury, but it was that really was his first shutout. I guess he didn't get credit, so it's nice that he finally got the recognition in the actual full game in.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely, you see a big smile on his face after that one as he was able to hold on there. Then you guys switch gears, you come back to the Bay Shore, probably with a little bit of swagger in your step, Cade. The mindset trying to go into that Guelph Storm game under the lights of especially Sportsnet being there, but just another rivalry game.
Yeah, I mean, all the boys knew what was at stake, and with it being a Sportsnet game, made it that much more exciting for them. But going out, we didn't really do the little things that we're told to do, and I mean that really hurt us a lot in the long run. But we learned a lot from that game, and we learned that we had to stay disciplined and stay simple and stay smart in our own end, and hopefully we learn for the future.
All right, so with that being said, we want to show you the highlights from Saturday afternoon's game against the Guelph Storm.
Too far for Dudas to get initially, but he's got such great speed, he tracked it down. Kerwin with Stevenson. It's a young line, and they score. It's Barrett Kerwin.
Back into the Owen Sound lineup, which really hasn't been full all season.
Hancock looking to the front of the net, saucers it there, and they score. A great pass by Hancock. Gadjevich, the goal. It's tied. Over to Phillips. Straight up the middle. Perfect pass to Hancock, and he scores. That's a perfect shot. Kevin Hancock. During that 8-game winless slide, well, they didn't lead much, but how about this? It's a score fest all of a sudden. It's up with the blue line. Stick handling well, but turned it over to McEwen. McEwen will lead the Guelph Storm now. Reinforcements trying to catch up. Shot comes from McEwen. It's deflected, and it's in the net. Coming down to the side of the goal, but now he might be caught. Radcliffe trying for a breakaway. The leading goal scorer in the Storm scores his 36th of the season, and Guelph leads it 4-2. To center ice, just under the stick of Merkley. Knew that was a good chance, but now he's caught. Straight up the middle, Suzuki. It's a 2-on-0. Perfect passing. Hancock to Nick Suzuki. And Owen Sounds within one. Back behind the net. It doesn't catch up to Zabula, but now he gets it all alone in front. Popovich, amazing save. Egan Stevenson, the rookie, back to Shoemaker. That got down to Guzda. There was a rebound, too. He stopped that. They score. They do get it. Storm seem rejuvenated after that goal. They're looking to make it a 3-goal lead. It's down there, and they do get it. Liam Howell on the rebound. And all of a sudden, they potted 2 quick ones and have a 3-goal lead. Maybe there's more to come. Ralph scores. Cedric Ralph does it. Over to Shoemaker. Right back to Radcliffe. And he gets around the rookie Morrow and finds Toropchenko. His shot is in the net. Alexei Toropchenko goes to the far post.
So I'm sure if I were to ask you guys that you definitely want the game back, it would be a yes. As you mentioned before, while we were off air there, Trent, the fact that it was a back and forth game for that first period and even into the first part of the second period there. What kind of changed for you guys, though, from that point of it being a back and forth game to them being able to go and have the success like they did?
Yeah, I mean, like it's kind of like every game. When a team falls, or like when a score falls apart, it's more just a team kind of losing their structure and a team kind of maybe relying on people a little too hard or kind of pushing the blame onto someone else, when really you just got to look at yourself in the mirror and kind of figure out if you're doing the right job. Are you doing the best you can for your team and at that point in time, right? So it's more or less just like you gotta kind of refocus, and you can't continue to strive away from what your plan and what your structure is.
One of the good things that you can take away from the game was that top line clicking again for you guys. Cade, you've been on this team for a little while now. Mm-hmm. You've seen the chemistry with that top line. What do you think of their success and their play there in that game?
Yeah, I definitely, in that game, they shined like they should, because, the top three guys in the CHL, arguably, but, those guys are really easy to learn off of. I mean, you watch them in practice, nothing changes from practice to game. They're always the same way, but, it's really nice to have leaders like that, and to be able to watch them and learn from their game and how they play, and in games like that, and games in the future, like when we play bigger games like in the Sioux, and being able to watch them shine in there, that would be very nice.
All right, so you guys transitioned from there into Sarnia, and it was still a good game overall. You guys jumped out to a great start, very quick turnaround, but unfortunately things kind of came a little bit loose there, Trent. You still picked up the point for going into OT, but your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, like again, we ran into some discipline issues. Like we took a few penalties, like we caused a penalty shot, and it just kind of, we got like we had a little talk with our coach, and we thought that maybe he thought that maybe we're getting a little too anxious, like when we get into those kind of more stressful situations. So it's kind of just finding like your personal kind of happy space and happy ground, and kind of being able to like adapt and play in those situations, the kind of high stress and situations. So it's kind of realizing personally like what you're able to do and like what you can do in that situation, and kind of just not in a way dumbing it down, but just kind of keeping it very simple and strict.
All right, so that being said, we're going to show you the highlights from Sunday's game in Sarnia.
6-game win streak, I would imagine, to sort of change that scenario.
Now the Knights in the attack. Here's a chance by Gadrich. He scores! Drop back there. Lazarchuk. Chance scores! Alan Lazarchuk goes upstairs, and the attack have opened up a 2-0 lead.
There's opportunities, but they have to start taking advantage of them.
Broken play here as Sushko walks in, scores! Maxim Sushko goes upstairs, a short-handed goal for the Owen Sound attack, and they open up a 3-0 lead. Get it to the front of the net, broken up by the Sting. Lavenius. Bang. Ang trying to make a little inside-out move. Ang walking in. Ang dangling his way in. And Ang scores a beauty. Jonathan Ang wakes up this crowd in Sarnia, and it's now 3-1.
Exactly. Now the crowd's into the hockey game.
Picks up the puck in the corner. Roughed up there by Friend. Deneen has room. Deneen scores! Into the boards by McKenzie. Smart play there by McKenzie, trying to negate the play, and they score! Sapula. He's trying to spring Jamison Reese. Here comes Reese, breaking in here. Reese, backhand. He's tripped up on the play as he went to the net. A penalty shot. The crowd will tell you how this goes. Now for Deneen. Kyrou. Ang looking for a lane, gets it back. Ernst, he scores! Judas and Bourque for the attack. Sting spread them out. Ang walking in. Here's Jonathan Ang holding, waiting, dropping, scoring!
That didn't take long.
Jordan Kyrou, 17.
So as we mentioned before, jumped off to a pretty good start there, but wasn't overly the result that you're looking for in the end. Only a couple minutes left here, but Cade, your thoughts with that game and how you guys need to transition from that one into this big upcoming game on Thursday night.
I mean, there's nothing we can do about that game now. Unfortunately, like we've kind of been talking about all night, it comes down to discipline and really being able to finish a game off. But bringing that into this week, I mean, those are the two things that we really need to focus on and really step up in our game. And, you know, hopefully we can come out with victories this week for you.
All right. So we do have a trivia question we want to give or throw out to you there. Sorry for the March 10th game against the Saginaw Spirits. So this coming Saturday, who drafted Cade Robinson and what year and what round? We'll give you a hint. It was a team that he played for beforehand, before coming to Owen Sound. We've already mentioned it a little earlier. That was quite a broad hint there that I just gave there. But yeah, we've already mentioned it tonight. Okay, so that's what we're aiming for. His former team, and then that'll get you a pair of tickets to March 10th's game against the Saginaw Spirits. All right, so Trent will quickly ask you, there's kind of been an up and down season for the defensive core into this weekend. I know you guys had Jacob Friend coming back, but what was your thought on the D this weekend?
Yeah, no, we've been playing some pretty solid hockey. We've definitely, through the whole season, we've run into some injuries and some illness and stuff like that, which is obviously to be expected throughout the season, it's unfortunate, but it happens. But no, our D-core, we've been playing some pretty stellar hockey, and we just need to kind of get back to what we've been doing and just continue being kind of consistent and strong.
So we encourage you, please call in. Feel free to ask these gentlemen questions, or you can also reach out to me on Twitter at MattSanderson32. Tweet me a question to ask these two guys sitting here with me. We want to get those phone lines ringing, give those tickets away. We also have a pair of tickets for the NHL alumni game this coming Friday. We want to also give away too. Stay with us here as we have plenty more on Attack Wrap. Welcome back, everybody, inside of the Rogers studio here. More of Attack Wrap, Matt Sanderson alongside Cade Robinson and Trenton Bourque. All right, so many of the Owen Sound Attack fans don't overly too much about the newest member of the Owen Sound Attack, in Cade Robinson, who, Cade, you've been here with the squad for a little bit of time. How were things adjusting to life in Owen Sound?
Yeah, I mean, it was really nice. The guys took me in, made me feel right at home. Dale put me with a great billet house. So, I mean, it made the transition just that much easier, and you know, yeah, it was just very nice altogether.
You come from a championship-winning team last year with the Erie Otters, and you're there with a squad that you know that you've been drafted by and that you've been so familiar with, and it's just a quick one-off trade. You and Luke Beamish. Beamish goes the other way. You come to Owen Sound. What were your thoughts when you initially got traded?
I was in shock. I mean, I had no idea that the trade was even thought about. But as you know, looking further into it, I started to get excited about it, and I talked with my family and my agent about it, and they were very excited for me. So, I mean, coming to this team, we're looking to make a deep run into the playoffs this year as well. So, I mean, hopefully I can be a big part of that.
Yeah, you definitely come with playoff experience with coming in last year. Trent, your thoughts with you have Luke Beamish, who's been with the squad for a little over a year to a year and a half or so, a little longer than that. But he was even in his rookie season, but a former defenseman with you. He goes the other way, but Cade comes in. How do you think Cade's jumped into this role?
Oh, he's done really well. I mean, like having Beamer or Luke Beamish back with us, he was doing well. He was developing really well, but I guess it was Dale thought that maybe that was the best for our team, and bringing Cade in, it's really helped our team. Like it really develops our three strong lines. Like we have four very strong lines, and it allows us to kind of roll our lines instead of playing like a lot of teams do, like one or two lines, and it tires guys out. But having a strong base of forwards, it's stellar. Like it helps us so much, and Cade's doing an awesome job with that.
When we were talking during the break, I brought up the fact to you of, do you talk to DeBrincat very much? And you said, yeah, you do talk to him quite often. You and him were pretty good friends last year, and I assume you continue to be. But my question is this, guys: when a player maybe moves up or you're traded to a different team, how much contact do you try to keep with those former teammates? Trent, we'll start with you in the sense, like, you look at Matthew Struthers and Nick King. Since they've come over to North Bay, they've done a fantastic job with that club, and even Luke Beamish is doing a good job in Erie.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on like everyone on the team is going to be super close, but it all depends on kind of that personal relationship you have with guys. Like Kinger, for instance, I think I talk to that guy every day. Like yeah. we were pretty tight, and Strutty, like I think we're going to see him this weekend, I think. Like there's a lot of communication going back and forth, and it was nice seeing Luke this weekend, or last Thursday, playing in Erie, just giving a little smile, chatting on the ice. So it's always nice. It's a big community, this league. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Cade, even your thoughts with you went back to Erie the other night. You mentioned that there was some family and some friends there that you got to catch up with, but even talk to us even a little bit about now that Alex DeBrincat, some of your other former teammates have moved on and gone further now into the pros. How much contact do you have with them on a regular basis?
Well, I mean, like Trent said, it depends on the personal relationship. So, like, I was pretty close with DeBrincat and Strome and Cernak as well. So, I mean, I talk to those guys a couple times a week, just, basic, hey, how are you doing? Or, how are things, like, who are your buddies and stuff like that. And, can you get me a Kane signed stick or something like that, But, yeah, I mean, we keep in contact. It's nice to be able to say, I know those guys, because they're going to go on to have great NHL careers. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely cool to be able to see your teammates go on and get to big things, and especially you're going to have guys, probably Petrus, probably Jonah, yeah. Nick Suzuki, yeah. when he's on his way, and you'll be hopefully jumping into that mix with those pros there too, Trenton. We do have Mitchell on the phone with us. Mitchell, how are you tonight?
Good.
All right, Mitchell, do you have the answer to our trivia question?
Yes. 2016, the 11th round, Erie.
All right, you know your stats. Nailed it right there. The Erie Otters 2016 in the 11th round. Congratulations, Mitchell. You win a pair of tickets to this coming Saturday's game against Saginaw.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for these guys?
No, just good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mitchell. Appreciate it. All right, so young fans, they know the stats even of the new guys coming in. Cade, take us back to 2016 in the 11th round when you were drafted by the Erie Otters. What were your thoughts? What was going through your mind at that point in time?
Obviously, very excited to be drafted by Erie. I mean, at that time, honestly, I wasn't thinking about going to the O. But after their camp, their rookie camp, I played well. They really seemed to like me. They wanted to sign me. So I mean, I had a long talk about NCAA or OHL, and I figured you kind of get the best of both worlds with going to the OHL because you get the NCAA package. So I mean, I decided to sign with Erie, and luckily we were able to come out with an OHL championship. But I was pretty happy about that.
All right, so as you mentioned, NCAA, OHL. If people have not clued in yet, you are from Michigan.
I am.
So you were born in Michigan, and you had that opportunity. Tell us a little bit of life, what it's like to play hockey in the U.S. We have the opportunity of seeing what hockey's like in Canada, but we never actually get to hear really right from the source what hockey is like in the U.S. and how you got to where you were starting off as a kid to where you are now.
I mean, hockey in the U.S. isn't a whole lot different. Maybe a little bit more physical in some areas, but that's just that's just how you're brought up to play. But I mean, how I got to where I am or where I was in 2016. I mean, I was a small town kid from Jackson, Michigan. I was playing in Detroit, driving hour and a half to practice 4 or 5 times a week. But I just love the game and playing. I played for Honeybaked for my draft year, and we were a pretty good team. Have a lot of guys that play in the USHL now, but I mean, just growing up, I had a lot of good coaches, a lot of good support staff, and stuff like that. So, I mean, it was a really good experience to get to the point where I am right now.
So, unfortunately, I haven't had the privilege to go and travel, let alone even get outside of Canada, outside of Buffalo for the 25 minutes when I go over to get gas when I was living in Fort Erie. So tell us a little bit of what the proximity is from Jackson, Michigan to Detroit, and what the lifestyle's like there, your family and friends. How big of motivators were they for you for your hockey career?
I mean, first thought that comes to mind is my dad and how supportive he's been, and him and my mom and my grandfather have been huge for me. I definitely wouldn't be where I am right now, but life in Jackson is fairly similar to here in Owen Sound. It's a fairly small town. Everyone knows everyone, and everyone's a pretty tight-knit group. But moving on to Detroit and the whole hockey community in Michigan, everyone knows everyone. Every team knows, who's on there, or everyone knows their dad and their family, and everything it goes back. So, I mean, it's nice, every game you're playing against, a couple of your buddies or something like that. So, that's about it. I mean, it's not too much different from Owen Sound where I come from, and I guess it's typical where we're growing up and going to Detroit to, I mean, I'm assuming where Trenton came up, and it's probably fairly similar. So. Yeah,
absolutely. Do you have any siblings? Are you just an only child? Or?
I do. I have a sister. She's 23. Her name is Brogan Robinson. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have maybe a close rapport with her in regards to the hockey end of things?
I mean, she wasn't really into the sports aspect of me growing up, but she was definitely very supportive. Always cheering me on, always coming to the games when she could, and I'm very appreciative of that. But as far as sports go, it just wasn't her cup of tea, I guess.
All right. Who gets more snow? Michigan, Jackson, Michigan, to be precise, or Owen Sound?
Definitely Owen Sound.
Really?
Mean, yeah. Depending on the year, but so far this year, definitely Owen Sound.
It's surprising too, because Trent, you've been up in this area for a little while. This is actually kind of a light winter for us, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, everyone was telling me that we were getting a ton of snow. It was going to be one of those record years for snow, but. Yeah, it's been a weird winter. It's been snowed, then melted, or then snowed again, then melted again. It's wacky, but yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, so Cade, you come into this organization, and Trent, the one thing that basically every person that has come through here has said is how close of a close-knit group this team is. And they've even come from other teams and said, yeah, you know what, they've enjoyed their experiences there, but come into this team and it's really close. That's obviously something that you guys definitely take pride in. But Cade, was that something that you noticed right away coming in?
Yeah, I mean, you know, coming from teams growing up, there always seems to be like cliques and guys that only hang out with certain guys. But I mean, coming to Owen Sound, it was nice. You know, it's kind of just one big family, and you know, everyone loves everyone, and everyone goes and hangs out together at the same places. There's not that clique or different groups of guys that you know you kind of feel like you can't talk to. So it's really nice to come to.
All right. Just quickly want to throw out the trivia question for the pair of NHL benefit VIP tickets for the alumni game this Friday night. How many games has Trenton Bourque played with the Owen Sound Attack in the regular season? That's what we're looking for. So if you go on to the Attack website and go down into Trent's stats, you should see the number there. That's the number of games that he has played in the Ontario Hockey League with the Owen Sound Attack. Trent, you're still looking for that first OHL goal, and I know many people have brought it up, and you're probably almost sick of talking about it. But the fact of the matter is, you've had so many opportunities this year. Like, is it like what is the thought process behind all of this?
No, I mean, like, I think I've had a record number of posts this year, but just kind of just a shoot first mentality, just kind of shooting every puck. But I mean, you can't be selfish in that aspect. Like it'll come when it comes, but just kind of putting the team first and kind of seeing what I can do to help them, and it'll come.
Well, us broadcasters here in Owen Sound, we're hoping for that time to come in Owen Sound, and we said just our luck if it were to come in a game where we were here in Owen Sound but weren't broadcasting. If it were to have come in Saturday afternoon, we would have been devastated that we weren't able to call it. But here's hoping that we're still all hoping that you grab that soon. But that's not really a part of your game that you're really trying to focus on. You do a good job of, you call yourself a stay-at-home defenseman. Is that what you portray? And who are some guys maybe in the NHL that you look up to that you try to mold your style after? Yeah,
well, I mean, you look at guys like there's so many guys, like you can name a ton of them, but like you look back at like Todd Gill, even our coach, like he was such a good defenseman, just steady and consistent in every single game. And like you look at guys like Mathot, like who got traded to Dallas this year, or I guess he went from Ottawa to Vegas to Dallas, something like that. Just kind of so steady in their roles, and it's almost like I remember talking to old coaches and even McGill last year, just talking about if you're kind of invisible in the play, not invisible, but you're kind of, people don't notice you, you're doing your job. Like you're doing the things right, making the right passes, making the right plays, shooting the puck when possible. You're doing the right things. So,
no, absolutely. And there's so many names, like you said, to mention, but somebody with high caliber that you just mentioned there, Mark Mathot, who's been in the NHL for a lot of years and who is known as a guy who's, you know what, a stay-at-home defenseman, does his part, but teams know that if he's on a decor, that's somebody that they have to be aware of out there on the ice. You now being a veteran on this team, is that what you've been trying to help some of these younger guys aim for?
I mean, like every guy's going to be different, right? Like, so you look at a guy like Dursey and I, like we're completely different players. We skate differently, we play differently. Like he's a points guy, he's more offensive, I'm more defensive. Like every guy's going to be different. So when you're talking to younger guys, like Igor Chippergoff on our team, or when Nick King and Luke Beamish were on our team earlier in this season, it's kind of you kind of just you give them little pointers as like, oh, like maybe like step out this way, like take a stride then pass or something like that. Like it's more smaller details instead of kind of crafting their game in a way, I guess. That'll come as they develop. Like it's their personal way of developing. It's not something that you can really sculpt for them.
All right, just want to do a quick recap of the first intro if in case you're just recently tuning in and did miss the first part. Just want to quickly let you know of Robert Thomas being the OHL Player of the Week coming from the Hamilton Bulldogs. He's played very well this season for his club. An important part to why his team is where they are at. 68 points on the season, 7 assists in 3 games over that standpoint. And then we'll flip over to Jonah Gadjevich being the Huron Tractor Player of the Week. 40 points, boy. Guys, is it good to have Jonah back in the lineup?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he's, again, like you talked about, like our first line, like we have some pretty, like those, all 3 of those guys are so steady and so consistent. So it's nice just having those key players on your team.
Absolutely, so especially somebody with the force that he has, being able to drive the net like he does. Such an intimidating presence out on the ice, and definitely nice to have back in the lineup. OHL scoring, Aaron Luchuk and Jordan Kyrou duking it out for top spot in the Ontario Hockey League. 105 points right now. I think Alex DeBrincat was a little earlier on in the season when he reached that 100-point plateau, but 3 guys right now with 100 points or more in the Ontario Hockey League. Nick Suzuki sitting there, 89 points on the season. Also other players to mention, Adam Mascarin with 80 points, Evan Bouchard, Jason Robertson, 78 points. Going over to rookie scoring, Andrei Svechnikov. It's crazy that this kid has only played 38 games in the Ontario Hockey League to date due to the fact of injuries and being away for World Juniors, and he has 59 points on the season, 34 goals, 25 assists. There you see some of the other names that we can mention in there. Cam Hillis, Rasmus Sandin, Blake Jenkins, Nick Suzuki's brother Ryan Suzuki with the Barrie Colts, 39 points on the year, and Ryan Roth, Maxim Golod from the Erie Otters. I said that right? Mm-hmm. Golod? Yeah. All right. So also defensive scoring, Evan Bouchard from the London Knights. He leads the way there, 78 points, 69 points from Nicholas Hague. Ryan Merkley having a good season in there too. Mac Hollowell, Sean Dursey still in that mix, hoping that Sean Dursey is back in the lineup soon, especially with playoffs being right around the corner. And then goaltenders, Matthew Villalta. He is right now playing some unreal hockey for his team, and a big part of why the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds are dominating this year. You look at him with 39-5-2 is his record on the year, and their backup is in third in Tyler Johnson. So 2 of the top 3 goaltenders in the Ontario Hockey League right now are both of the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhound goaltenders. They're obviously doing something right in the Sioux, generating goaltenders there, as Joseph Raymaker's former Sault Ste. Marie Greyhound in that mix in the 7 spot, 911 save percentage there. Christian Prop, Justin Fazio, and Colton Ince from the Niagara Ice Dogs. Owen Sound scoring, as we already mentioned, Nick Suzuki leading the way there. Behind him, Kevin Hancock with 61 points on the year. Aiden Dudas in the mix, and Maxim Sushko. Sean Dursey still sitting in that 5 spot. Ethan Zapula, Brett McKenzie, Jonah Gadjevich, Alan Lazarchuk, Marcus Phillips rounding out the top 10 there. All right, so guys, we only have a couple minutes left. Outside of hockey, what do you guys like to do? I know we've had a couple different guys come on the show, and even when I've asked them a favorite movie that they've watched, Dalen Group hyped up and said Cars 3 was his favorite. So, guys, what do you do when you're outside of hockey, maybe even with the team? You guys go to many movies?
Yeah, I mean, we try to stick to the cheap Tuesdays.
Yeah.
But no, we went and we saw, most of us saw the Black Panther a couple weeks ago, so that was a pretty good movie. But the boys are really into Fortnite. I don't know if anyone really knows what that is, but it's a great thing. You guys should check it out.
I've heard a lot about it.
Oh, wow.
I only have a PS3 right now, so there's not much I can do on that end of things. Can you kind of explain it a little bit? Like what's going on in Fortnite?
The game?
Yeah.
It's
brief example.
Yeah, no, it's well, I mean, you're able to play as 4 or a single or a duo, and you basically you battle together as a team, and you try to get to the end to win. So yeah, it's
all right.
Yeah, it's a lot of communication, a lot of teamwork, but it's loads of fun.
Are you a big gamer?
No, I'm not. But like this game's pretty addicting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Cade? Are you a big video game guy?
Not so much, but you know, I have found myself playing Fortnite definitely,
Yeah.
but no, not so much a big gamer.
All right, so if you guys are hanging out together, what do you guys like to do outside of movies, video games? I know there isn't overly too much to do in town, but you guys go to Blue Mountain a lot, like.
We actually haven't been this year.
No?
We were planning on going early in the season, but then schedule, we looked at it, it wasn't really possible to work out. But no, like we usually, like we've done an escape room. Were you here for that? No, so that was
in Wyerton.
Wyerton, yeah. So we went and did that. Like we'll go bowling as a team. Did a little kind of a treasure. I don't really know how to explain. We did I'll call it a treasure hunt, but it wasn't exactly that early in the season. But no, loads of the guys, like we'll play cards or something like that. We'll play some poker. Just kind of sticking together, like doing things we like.
All right. Cade, you can either answer this question with a favorite movie that you've seen with the team, whether it be Erie, whether it be here in Owen Sound. Favorite movie that you've seen with the team, though?
Favorite movie with the team? Well, I've only seen one with Owen Sound. Which movie was that? I think it was a really scary movie.
Oh, it was We Are the Brave, that one?
No.
The fire one?
Oh, yeah.
That was a great movie.
Yeah, that would have to be, with the team, that would probably be my favorite movie.
Yeah? Which one's that?
Called We the Brave or something?
Yeah.
We the Brave?
I think.
I
It's about firefighters in the States, yeah.
Nice.
A wildfire.
Okay.
Yeah, sweet. Great movie.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Highly recommended?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So you hear it right here. If you're looking for a movie, We the Brave, Trenton, Bourque, Cade Robinson, highly recommended.
I think that's what it's called. It's sad, though. It's
Yeah?
sad, yeah.
Okay, you might shed some tears, too. If you guys are going to Timmy's or something like that, what's a drink that's a go-to drink for you, Cade?
Medium coffee, 2 creams, 2 sugars, that's it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yourself?
Ice cap, maybe? I don't drink much.
No?
Timmy's. Yeah, no.
Oh, you try to stay away from the caffeine.
I don't drink coffee, really, no.
All right, social media aspect. What do you guys like to use more? Like, what's an app? Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat? What do you use more of?
I'm going to say Instagram, probably.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, what about you, Cade?
I try to stay away from like the social media. I'm not big on those, but I'll use Snapchat quite a bit though.
Snapchat?
Yeah.
All right. And an NHL player that you're looking up to?
I like Dylan Larkin because I grew up kind of in his shadow, I guess you could say. I skated with him a couple times over the summer, like over my lifetime, and he's just a really good guy. And I try to match his speed, his intensity with my game as well. So he's one of them. The
fact that he is a Detroit Red Wing, are you a Red Wings fan?
I am, yeah. I mean, my dad was huge. He watched a lot of games with my grandfather in their old arena, not Joe Louis, but Olympia. Yep. And so he was a really big fan, and he kind of got me into the Red Wings. Fan club, I guess.
Historic franchise, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't blame you there. Trent, quickly, somebody that you look up to in the NHL.
Like as I said earlier, I think it's probably Mathot. He's just kind of watching what he does and kind of how he picks makes his decisions on the ice. It's very interesting and lots to learn from him. So.
All right. Well, guys, you have a big week coming up playing Barrie, and then 3 playoff teams with Saginaw and the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds in that mix as well. So thanks for joining us here, Cade. It was your first time, but it wasn't overly that bad for you. So thanks for joining us, guys, and good luck this week.
Thanks you.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us here with Attack Wrap. We'll be back next week with 2 more guests.